What is up, fellow YouTubers? So there's a YouTuber by the name of Sydney Watson, and I'm here to do a video response. This is not an attack video by any means. The video is entitled, Seriously? ? Why is Gillette promoting obesity? Stop normalizing this. Alright. Get ready, because it's going to be a long one.
So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but it seems like there's this trend at the moment where businesses and ad campaigns basically try to promote body positivity.
Yes, I've noticed this trend. There's nothing wrong with it. Everyone comes in different shapes and sizes, and
Seems fair, right?
It does, yes.
Haha, wrong.
How is it not fair? Seriously. Okay, Sydney Watson, enlighten me. How is it not fair? How is body positivity not fair?
In doing so, most of the time, all they end up really doing is promoting obesity because
Wait, what? Okay, so you're saying that body positivity is not fair because it's promoting obesity. I mean, what? Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but okay, this is interesting because of the fashion industry making this douchey decision that women had to be super skinny, look like skeletons walking down the catwalk. All of a sudden, women everywhere felt extremely self-conscious about their body. And as a result of that, curvy women started stepping out, posting pictures of themselves on social media. A former female classmate of mine posted a picture on social media of herself in a bra and panties, wearing her hair in some braids on either side. And it was a very tasteful photo, and the comment she wrote, the caption, the photo was, "I'm not ashamed of my curves." And it got a lot of positive response on social media, which is good. However, when I recognized the photo in a chat room, I saw a lot of people just picking her apart. And I'm like, you people are fucking stupid. It's a very gorgeous and very photogenic woman with a very positive body image message type thing. And a lot of it just sounded like jealous females. But, yeah, I'd be curious to see your take on this, Miss Sydney, who is from Australia, in case you didn't notice the Australian accent, eh? Oh, she's a Shayla. Nothing wrong with her, I'm just having some fun. But anyways.
because, like, why not? A notable example that some of you might remember was when Cosmopolitan put a very overweight model on the front cover of their magazine.
Her first example of why body positivity is unfair and that it promotes obesity is Cosmopolitan putting a heavyset woman on their magazine. I'm gonna try to break this down for you, YouTube, as simply as I can. Heavyset people who have been heavyset their entire life have been bullied, ridiculed, teased, looked at, or seen as gross. You know, and the truth of it is, not every guy wants the perfect, curvy, you know, what have you. Some guys are into heavier women, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's awesome. Just because you encounter a couple guys that aren't into fat chicks doesn't mean they're all like that. You know what I'm saying? That being said, ladies, I don't want to hear any excuses. I'm just saying, if I may be real for a second, you think to yourself, oh, I'm too fat, I'm never gonna find someone. Fuck that. Ladies, get yourself a man who loves to cook and loves fat women. I guarantee you, you'll never be unhappy, and he'll take care of you. That being said, I think the reason why Cosmopolitan did that was to try to make fat people feel less ashamed of themselves. And then the doctors come out and tell people how unhealthy it is, and then they use that body confidence to either get better or just accept it, because that's what body positivity is. Some of these people cannot change how they look. That's just how they're born. You know, that's to me what body positivity is all about, is accepting who you are. And if you can change it and you want to change it, you're changing because you want to, not because society says you're too fat.
And then everyone went mad. But the buck does not stop there.
Oh, it doesn't? Right on. Well then, what is your other example of this? This ought to be good.
Gillette, the new woke brand, has jumped on board this initiative.
Okay, for those of you who are unaware, Gillette came out recently with a heavier set woman to advertise for their company, which is Marketing Genius. The biggest complaint I hear a lot of women make is, I'm sick and tired of companies designing products for women using overly attractive women. It's an unfair representation. And they do that, YouTube, because it makes less attractive women think, oh, if I buy that product, I'll be attractive like her. It's shallow marketing, but it works. And they do it to men, too, with the Gillette commercials. They'll show some chiseled, ripped dude shaving his face like it's the best shave a man can get. So Gillette basically said, let's try to reach a wider audience of people. Pardon the pun, was unintended.
Because when they're not attacking men, they're telling you to love yourself. They use this image as part of a body positivity campaign for their women's range. They also said this in a tweet. Venus is committed to representing beautiful women of all shapes, sizes, and skin types, because all types of beautiful skin deserve to be shown. We love Anna because she lives out loud and loves her skin no matter how the rules tell her she should display it. Yeah, I think it's less a case of the rules telling you what to do and more the medical community.
This is where the body positivity / fat acceptance political issue has a problem. You know what I'm saying? On one half of the coin, you have these people who have been bullied their entire life, looked at like gross tubs of shit. You know what I'm saying? Picked on and harassed for being chubby. Oh, look at this guy. He's got the man boobies. Ha 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 ha. What are you, a transvestite? Ha 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 ha. Shit like that. Or look at this gross fucking whale. Look at her. She's fucking disgusting. Yeah, people are assholes. So their whole life, they're spending their life being ridiculed, told you're too fat. And here's the thing of it, and if I may be so brutally honest, Sydney Watson, if they would have used you for that Gillette ad, if they would have used yourself for that Gillette ad, there would have been several women complaining that, oh, this chick's too skinny, she doesn't represent all body types, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying you're too skinny, I'm just saying. Because predictably, you're doing the same thing by complaining, saying that this woman on the ad is too fat, and you justify your jealousy by saying it's medically unhealthy. And I say jealousy because it's just women picking women apart as usual, right? And I imagine you eat healthy and you exercise, you actually probably do a lot to maintain your figure, and then you see a woman who's being praised for not trying hard at all. Last tiny little thought, that tiny little thought in the back of your mind, you know what it says? Oh, fucking hell, another woman to compete with, and she doesn't even have to try? That's bullshit. That's the cold hard truth of it.
I am genuinely really sick and tired of seeing businesses and ad campaigns basically promote a very, very unhealthy body type and lifestyle in order to appear more inclusive and tolerant.
It's not about being more tolerant. Well, it is to a degree being more tolerant, because I can't help my Asperger's any more than people can help being fat, And as somebody who gets picked on for the way they look, I can kind of relate to it, I mean, not as bad as they have it, but at the same time, I sympathize with them, because I'm like, dude, I'm a heterosexual, goth, autistic male. So when I wear the eye makeup and shit, and I go to Walmart to do a little bit of shopping, people will murmur out the corner of their mouth, I get Annie, that dude looks gay. And I'm like, first of all, I'm proud of what I got between my legs, and second of all, I know how to fuck some good puss. So, third of all, sex is not the most important thing on the planet. There are more important things. And fourth of all, you sitting there telling people, oh, you need to get laid. You're contributing to the problem. And the biggest problem with our society regarding men and women, the female form has been overly sexualized. Women are constantly expected to always be their prettiest and their most proper. It's just as fucking annoying as telling men, you have to be tough, you can't cry like a sissy, and you always have to be pounding some puss. Otherwise your masculinity is challenged. Fuck out of here with that.
I actually hate the body positivity movement.
Now there's something I never thought I'd hear a female say. I actually hate the body positivity movement. That just sounds like something some cringy, high-standard, sexist male would say, right? Ladies, that's what it sounds like. That sounds like something that some dude that really hates fat people would say. But no, a woman actually says this. So this is interesting. Why does she hate the body positivity movement?
Not because it encourages you to love yourself, that's actually a pretty nice concept, but because it normalizes obesity and tries to shut down any criticism of it. Guess
yeah, that's precisely the problem with this kind of movement, is that yes, people should be allowed to embrace who they are as people, but at the same time, doctors also should be allowed to come out and say, hey, these are the health risks. You know, and to be fair, do they call it smoker shaming when the Surgeon General comes out and says, cigarettes are dangerous for you if you become addicted to them? You smoke like 2-3 packs a day for 60 plus years, maybe 4 packs just because you can. Don't see how anyone can afford that shit. But you see what I'm saying? Then you get lung cancer and a hole in your fucking throat. You lose your fucking foot and you're walking around with a peg foot and an oxygen tank going, you have to accept my smoking. I don't care if I look gross and creepy. I don't care if I look like Emperor Palpatine with a hole in his throat. I don't care if my tobacco smells gross and it offends you. You have to accept it. People would be like, yeah, but you did that to yourself, and why should I have to accept it? That's different, though, because sometimes people can't control if they're fat. Like I said, that's just how they're born. That's the only difference, you know?
Guess what's not useful? That.
Our doctors to be able to tell the truth. Because listen, let's face it, if you are too fat, you are on death row. You are on death row. We know that being too fat means that it can trigger cancer. And by the way, cancer research, we're told they were fat shaming a few months ago for warning us about it. The world's gone mad. Die. The world's gone mad. Stroke, heart disease, the list goes on. So
her next example is, good morning, Britain. Could fat shaming help lose weight? And I'm like, you know, motivating people through bullying is not a good way to do it. Nobody likes being bullied or teased or picked on. If you're going to motivate somebody, you're better off encouraging them. So instead of like fat shaming people into losing weight, giving them the information they need and informing them of their decisions, like, and if whether or not they can help it if they're fat, they can at least be aware of the healthy options they can take to maintain their weight or lose it, so they're not getting fatter. You feel me? That's much better than, you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with cigarette smokers. You know, people give smokers the information they need to help them quit, and they also give them the information that tells them, hey, this shit's bad for you. And most of these people are aware of the fact that being fat and or smoking is bad for you. And if they choose that lifestyle, that's their fucking choice. It's freedom of choice, man. And that's one thing I agree with to an extent, you know. But at the same time, if you choose to be fat, then nobody has to accept it. That's just the thing of it. That's kind of selfish of you to sit there and say, oh, well, hey, you know, I chose this lifestyle. I can't help it. I can help it, even though the person I know next to me can't. And you know what I'm saying? Like, if you can help it and you choose that lifestyle, then you tell everyone, hey, fat acceptance, that's fuck you, you know? Fuck you. There are people out there who can't help it and who are trying to fight for that shit. And because of fucking fat assholes like you, who choose to be fat because you're lazy, you're fucking giving the movement a bad name. Just like these feminazis. Oh, wait, what? Feminazi? Yeah, feminazi and the feminist movement, same comparison.
Heart disease, the list goes on. So actually, it's quite compassionate to be quite honest with people.
Even back in 2018, Sports Illustrated jumped on board this initiative as well by putting
her next example, Sports Illustrated jumped on this bandwagon as well.
Putting curvy models on the catwalk so that they were more representative of other body types.
Putting curvy models on the catwalk so they were more representative of body types. Yeah, and the clip she's playing is of a rather curvy, bodacious woman. That's what's up. And a very tasteful bathing suit to go with it, with all kinds of colors and what have you. Cool, man. There are a lot of chicks that would dig that kind of shiznit.
And again, this would have been perfectly fine had they not put women on the catwalk who were actually overweight.
You said, okay, remember this, YouTube. Remember what she just said. She said it would have been fine, except they put women that were overweight on the catwalk, and the clip she showed me, that woman was not by any means overweight. She had a couple extra pounds to love on, but she was not overweight. So I felt like that clip you showed was kind of a really crude and really basic example of like the least fattest person you could see as far as fatness goes, kind of thing, you know. But anyways, let's continue with the video response.
Because let's remember, there's a really big difference between being curvy and being overweight.
Yes, there is a big difference between being curvy and overweight. You're right. But the pictures you showed to demonstrate your points, again, I feel like a lot of people would look at the curvy photo and say, that chick's skinny. And I feel like a lot of people would look at the picture of the overweight chick and say, well, that chick's curvy. Because here's the definition of reality for a second. Each person's definition of curvy and skinny and fat is different. You know what I'm saying? So who is anyone to say what's a normal body weight? I mean, and that's just the thing of it too. Like, the picture you show of this fat chick is not even extremely obese. She's got a little bit of extra pounds to love on, but she's not like, you know what I'm saying? You look at the picture of this chick that she calls curvy, and you can see she's got abs. And I'm like, you know, I call that skinny myself. And I call the picture right next to it a couple extra pounds to love, but I wouldn't call that fat by any means. That's, you know, yeah.
But let's be clear for a hot second. Nobody's born like this. This is 100% the result of bad diet and lifestyle choices.
She pulls up the picture of that Gillette ad again with that Venus model. And it's like I said, you know, I kind of feel like if they would have used you for the Gillette ad, Sydney, if people would have said, oh, that chick's too skinny, she doesn't represent all body types, blah, blah, blah. And they would have picked you apart just like you're picking these people apart. And you justify your jealousy that they don't even have to try to a degree, and they're getting more attention for their bodies than you are. And some part of that bugs you a little bit.
And what's so odd to me about all of this is that you have governments around the world basically trying to set up initiatives and campaigns to make sure that people actually lose weight and eat healthier. These campaigns encourage people to eat more fruit and vegetables. Australia has even floated the idea of a sugar tax. Actually, the UK actually has a sugar tax, and I'm pretty sure some states in America also have sugar taxes.
I'm not laughing at Sydney. I'm laughing at sugar taxes. That is fucking great. Sugar taxes. Man, do you think raising the prices on cigarettes gets people to quit smoking? Most of the time, no, it doesn't. And junk food's no different. You put a tax on sugar because you're trying to encourage people to eat less of that crap and eat more healthy shit. I'm like, you know, that doesn't work. If people are addicted to junk food, if people are addicted to sweets and junk food, they're going to pay for it anyway. And then on top of the sugar tax, you get these companies who are deciding to shrink their proportions. The bags of chips are having less chips and more air, and they say it's to conserve freshness. Bullshit. They sit there with their Snickers bars and the Three Musketeers bars. These candy bars are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. They don't do it instantly. They do it slowly but surely over time. And when then someone notices these things, these companies come out and say, we're trying to encourage people to eat more healthily, so by shrinking our proportion sizes, that doesn't work. Because people are going to sit there and go, you know, I don't feel my chocolate craving. I want to buy another one. You're making it easier, making it so much easier for these people to stuff their faces with your product. And you really think a goddamn candy company, a fucking candy company, is going to sit there and say, oh yeah, we don't want people to eat our product? Because that's basically what they're saying is, oh, we want people to eat more healthily. Bullshit. Bullshit. You want people to consume your product. That's how you make sales. But doing that makes them look like a company who cares. So that way people feel reassuring when they eat their product. While they're getting fucked up the ass by charging the same price for a smaller product. Anyways.
There are countless initiatives in Australia that encourage children to get moving by walking to school or owning a bike or digging holes. I'm not really sure what kids do. The point is that schools and the government and parents, I would assume, are trying to get kids moving because childhood obesity is getting more and more prominent.
And really, YouTube, there is no excuse for childhood obesity to be prominent. You know, that's where it's up to the parents to be a bit more responsible. But picture for just 1 second, spanking is a form of child abuse now because too many kids were reporting false abuse and too many parents were going too far with it, spanking too hard, that kind of thing. And so they just got tired of dealing with it all and said, fuck it. It's a form of child abuse. It's illegal. Keep that in mind because, quite literally, you can let your kid eat junk food, sweets, sit in front of the TV, and get really fucking fat. And it only becomes an issue when it's almost too late. Then they start talking about it as, oh, we gotta do something. It's become an epidemic. And I'm like, really? But you could have stopped it before it happened. That's my point. Some people might look at that and say, that doesn't look very healthy for your kid. And then that's as far as it goes. So, spanking your kid when they've gone too far is illegal. I love conjuring thunderstorms. 1 second, I gotta wave my wand. Give us a nice thunderstorm for our rant and video response. Yeah. My Scottish Viking ancestors' clan colors were black, green, and gold. And coincidentally, my two favorite colors are black and green, so, yeah. But, yeah, that's ridiculous. Give me thunder, give me lightning, give me rain. I love playing with thunderstorms in the spring. Beautiful, YouTube.
Across the board generally, this is a huge problem. Obesity is a massive, massive problem, and it's not going to abate anytime soon. Because regrettably, food is delicious.
What? What? Okay, so Sydney Watson says, the reason why obesity is never gonna go away is because, regrettably, food is delicious. That is the biggest load of crap. Dude, that is an excuse. That is an excuse. That's like me saying, oh, I can't date of-age chicks because I live in a small town. I'm not allowed to date because my trolls are assholes and I have Asperger's. Fuck that. That's an excuse. I'm not gonna let these trolls ruin my dating life. Get out of here with that. That is... wow. Really, obesity, you know, for those of you who can control it, that's less of a problem.
So yeah, it strikes me as odd that you have campaigns and initiatives over here encouraging people to lose weight, and then you have campaigns and initiatives on the other side putting very overweight people in the limelight and then basically saying, haha, look, body positivity. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, if it doesn't make any sense, then allow me to explain, as I have explained several times in this video. Fat people spend their entire lives getting picked on and bullied for the way they look. And for once in their life, they get to feel sexy and attractive, which is something everybody wants to feel. It's a natural human function to want to feel sexy and attractive. Not everybody can be as skinny as you are, Sydney. And I'm sure there are a lot of heavyset women who would be grateful to be as skinny as you. I love playing with thunderstorms. This is awesome.
One of many articles from last year covers this exact topic. Debate has erupted over whether obese models should be banned from fashion runways after doctors warned drastically overweight supermodels send health messages that are just as dangerous as those sent by models who are underweight.
Now, this is one of those things where I'm like, you know, it doesn't matter what you do. Women are always going to compare themselves to other women. So you could put some super skinny model on the cover of a magazine. You could put some curvy, healthy size model on a magazine. You could put some fat, morbidly obese woman on a cover of a magazine. It don't matter, you know, and it's just how it is. Debate has erupted over whether obese models should be banned from fashion runways after doctors warned drastically overweight supermodels send health messages that are just as dangerous as those sent by models who are underweight. This is what pisses me off about it. Why did it take all but like 2 years for people to make these conclusions about overweight? Why did it take several years for the fashion industry with their skeleton chicks walking down the runway bullshit before people stood up and said something? Why did it take this long for this movement to happen? This is ridiculous. Where were the fucking doctors when these fucking chicks were being forced to starve themselves for a fashion show? You know? Telling people, hey, this underweight bullshit is not cool. This is not healthy. Women don't have to look like this to be considered attractive. This is not a good look. You look like a goddamn crack whore. You look like Schmeagol, for fuck's sake.
New South Wales top doctor Brad Frankham fears the growing popularity of extremely overweight models is glorifying obesity, likening the use of overweight models to advertisements with cigarettes. This doctor says that there is a fine line between being confident and promoting unhealthy messages.
Yes, there is a fine line between being confident and promoting unhealthy messages, you know.
We don't want anyone to feel ashamed or embarrassed by the way they look, and everyone needs to wear clothes. But there is a difference between being confident in who you are and promoting a healthy weight message. Dr. Frankham said a better message would be...
And this is the problem that women have to face on an almost daily basis. You're never at just the right size, are you, ladies? It's always you're too fat or you're too skinny, or, you know, and it's ridiculous.
Sent by seeing more models who are a healthy size, neither overweight nor underweight, on runways rather than celebrating extremes. Yeah, we should not be celebrating extremes. Only sameness. I'm not gonna lie though, Gillette's advertising team are actually pretty clever because I think all they're really trying to do is create posts and videos and whatever that are eventually gonna go viral. Because really, let's be realistic for a second, why would you put someone like this in an ad campaign? Because people on both sides of the coin react. Just like I'm doing right now. Because we are predictable.
Yes, when you post an ad of what is considered conventionally unattractive woman and use her to promote your product, you're trying to make other women feel sexier and confident. It's not... Well, that is part of it because they want posts like that to go viral. And that's just the shock value of our society. What can we do to shock people next? You know, so eventually you run out of things to shock people with. And it works because it not only does it, so she's partly right on that part at least, with the, you know what I'm saying?
Because I've made another video already about this topic, I'm gonna try not to repeat myself here, but I do want to reiterate the fact that there is a huge difference between healthy, normal, natural body types and being genuinely overweight. And believe me, I get it. Not everyone relates to or feels good looking at that size 6 model who's bouncing down the runway. Which is understandable because human beings come in all shapes and sizes. Although that's the corniest line ever, it's actually true. However, there is a big difference between a pear-shaped body type who is bottom heavy because of actual genetics and I eat my feelings. Oh, that was harsh. The interesting thing about this...
Yeah, you make jokes like that. You make your harsh little... Oh, that was harsh. There's a big difference between pear shape and I eat my feelings. Every human does this. I don't give a fuck who you are. Men and women do this shit, okay? Sometimes when we get depressed, we'll reach for like some ice cream or some junk food because it makes us feel better. We're having a sour day, so we grab a cookie and all of a sudden, hey, the world's not so shitty anymore. You have a cookie, you know? Both sexes do this shit. Don't get it twisted. Women aren't the only ones that eat junk food when they're depressed. Men do it too. Oh yeah, trust and believe that.
This is while these ad campaigns try to make people feel better about themselves, it actually seems like they're having pretty deleterious effects on the general population.
Okay, this is the problem with the fat acceptance movement. If you're trying to make people feel better about themselves, you can't do it without people now thinking, okay, this is the new it thing. Now you have to be stupid fat.
A 2015 study from Simon Fraser University in Canada found that the increasing use of plus-size models in advertising campaigns may be contributing to the growing rates of obesity. The researchers conducted 5 experiments to see how subjects would react to cues suggesting that obesity was acceptable. In each instance, the subjects displayed a greater intended or actual consumption of unhealthy food and a reduced motivation to engage in a healthier lifestyle, driven by an increased belief that obesity was more socially acceptable. The study's authors say the efforts to increase acceptance are resulting in increasing the amount of thought consumers are putting into appearance and heightening body anxiety, ironically the opposite of what many of these marketing campaigns are trying to achieve. I mean, this is not to say that this study is like the be-all and end-all of studies about this particular topic, but I do think it's interesting food for thought. Get it? Food for thought.
Food for thought. That's hilarious. Food for thought. That's what she calls these articles telling us what we already know. Food for thought.
A 2018 study from the UK suggested that people are more likely to underestimate how overweight or obese they are, and this is likely the result of the normalization of obesity. The study suggests that clothing lines for larger women and the body positive movement helps reduce stigmatization of larger bodies, but it can also potentially undermine the recognition of being overweight and its health consequences. The study also notes that this happens especially when retailers label larger clothing with smaller sizes than their actual fit and cut. Because the only way to feel good about yourself is when you're being lied to. Can I also just say too, why is it—
Wow. The only way to feel good about yourself is when you're being lied to. Oh, yeah, that's kind of... This is why when the woman will ask her man, "Hey honey, do these jeans make my ass look fat?" And even though he wants to say yes, he says no because it makes her feel good. And here's the thing of it, ladies, if your man says you look fat, you know what you can do? Be like, well then let's go to the gym. Let's go to the gym and work out together as a couple. We'll both lose weight. We'll both look good. And then you could turn it around on him, and if he says, "No, I don't need to go to the gym, blah, blah, blah," that's when you look at him and go, "What, you don't support me? Fucking asshole, my mother was right."
Two, why is it always obese women in these ad campaigns?
Why is it always obese women in these campaigns?
Where are the overweight men? Like, I'm not even kidding here. Have you ever seen a body positive movement for men? You know?
No, you do not see a body positive movement for men because society expects men to be hairy, gross, fat, disgusting, sex-crazed animals. Because, like I said earlier in this video, the negative double standard that affects women, there's two of them, there's several, but the main two that women have to deal with is society always expects women to be ladylike and proper, and society has overly sexualized the female form. The consequences of these negative standards is that women are put underneath all this pressure to not be fat and disgusting, and no one cares if men are fat and disgusting. You know, that's just what it comes down to.
You know what? We need to Google this. Let's Google this. Okay, it doesn't really look like this exists. Well, now we know, men, you all need to look like David Beckham. Or whoever is attractive these days, I don't even know. The point here is, no dad bods. Only women apparently can have dad bods. Learn it. Anyway, the point here is there is absolutely nothing wrong with showing diverse body types who fit into clothes and whatever. But
what? She just said, anyways, there's nothing wrong with showing diverse body types that fit into clothes, whatever. Okay, but you remember when she went on that tangent about Sports Illustrated trying to advertise for more diverse people on the runway, more diverse, more curvy women on the runway. And she said, oh, there's nothing wrong with that except they chose to use fat people. And now she's saying, oh, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I think she just contradicted herself hard.
But people who look like the woman in this Gillette ad are not the norm. And they
oh, well, obviously they're not the norm, but just because they're not the norm doesn't mean they shouldn't be represented. You know what I'm saying? How many times do I hear women complain about, like I said, women complaining because they're using women that are way too attractive And it sets an unrealistic expectation for women everywhere else, you know? And now this is, like I said, Sydney, okay, like I said, if they would have used you for the commercial or for the ad, there would have been several women picking you apart saying, oh, well, you know, this chick's too skinny, blah, blah, blah. And you're not, but I'm just saying.
They shouldn't be the norm, mainly because of the multitude of health issues that come along with being overweight. And believe me, there are many. Take Australia, for example. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the average Australian woman is about 71 kilograms and is about 162 centimeters tall. So the average Australian woman is probably better represented by sizes 10 to 14 than anything else. What they're not going to be represented by, on the other hand, are people who look like they're a few donuts short of a heart attack. You want to be body positive? Fine. You want to appeal to a wider market? Fine. Put a size 12 on the runway, put a size 10 in your ad campaign. Done, dusted. That's probably more representative of everyday, average, normal people than someone who is grossly obese.
And what makes you so sure of this? Because in the same video, this very same video, you went on this tangent, this fucking tangent, pardon my French, tangent, about how obesity has become a real problem in our society. So maybe they are representing the more normal type, you know? And maybe body positivity is just about motivating people to lose weight or accept it if they can't change it, you know? And just be happy with what they have. But you're saying you don't care if they want to do all this shit. You don't care if they want to add overweight models, blah, blah, blah. You clearly care. Otherwise, you wouldn't have made this 13-minute and 40-second video about how disgusting it is that they're using fat women for ad campaigns and how it's so unhealthy. Clearly, you care.
The really sad thing about all of this is that we're at a point where more people on this planet die as the result of obesity than being underweight. I think we're gonna need a benefit concert for obesity next. Where's Bono? In Australia, over 63% of the population are overweight or obese. But as far as I see it, appealing to that is not the answer. I mean, it doesn't mean we have to go out and shame people and throw food at them and get them to jog up hills, but it definitely doesn't mean that we should be putting people into ad campaigns and promoting this idea that looking like this and having this lifestyle is genuinely acceptable when it's not. Millennials, which is my generation, are set to be the fattest generation on record, which is insane to me.
You heard it here first, folks. I guess millennials are the fattest generation on record. Well, with the disgusting, fattening food that I make, all my bacon cheeseburgers stuffed with cardinal fucking cherries and peanut butter and brown sugar and mozzarella cheese, fucking macaroni and cheese barbecue bacon cheeseburgers and pizza burgers and pizza nachos and nachos with bacon, and yeah, I can't imagine why. But that's the thing of it. I don't just sit on my ass all day every day. I do get out and move. You know, I'll go to a friend's house, bullshit for a bit, you know. Like I said, it's not the calories that are the enemy, it's what you do with them calories. And if you sit on your ass and do nothing, then of course you're gonna get fat.
Obesity in children is through the roof, and fatalities as the result of obesity and illnesses and complications as the result of obesity are getting more and more every year. So as mean as this is gonna sound and as harsh as it's gonna sound, I don't accept having very, very overweight people in ad campaigns. I don't accept seeing them on the runway, and I honestly don't want to see them in this sort of pop culture media limelight because I think it's irresponsible. That being said, let me be clear about this. I have a lot of respect for people who are overweight or obese who recognize that in themselves and are doing something to change it, even if it's something very small, baby steps daily. I think that that is much more impressive than saying, I embrace myself, I look fantastic on this Gillette Venus thingy while being really super overweight. As always, if you like the video, hit subscribe and the thumbs up button. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to do so. Just don't be rude about it. And I will see you guys next time.
Just don't be rude about it. Right after she made some of the comments that she made in this video. Don't be rude about it.